Up on the stage, and I'm going to sit along here. Thank you, Martin. Thanks, sir. Hi. For those of you who don't know, Edwina co-founded Dunn, which is the data company behind the Tesco Club Card, so anything but a basket case. The director of Starcount, involved in understanding social media habits, and the chair of the Your Life campaign. Paul Lindley, founder of Ella's Kitchen, named after his daughter. One of the most amazing brands as far as I'm concerned, as a new dad. Founded in 2004, and within 8 years commanded 25%, only 5% of the baby food market. That's Paul, and he sold it in 2013 and is now, I think, a fully fledged campaigner. I want to hear what's getting your goat at the moment, Paul, and I know you've got some very strong views on this. Martin, you spent 35 years working at the heart of British-based manufacturing. You ran Dyson. I haven't got any jokes about that, so you just have to suck it up, I'm afraid. So now, but you've also worked with Mars, a fun-sized joke there, and Toshiba. Let's get on with it. And you're now with private equity firm Montagu. It gets worse than this, by the way, Martin.
There should be a joke there.
There should be a joke there, right. So, what I wanted to get into, quick as possible, please, and maybe we'll start with you, Paul. How well are British schools preparing young people for the world of business?
Well, we've got to think about we're in a global economy, global world, and we can only say how well we're doing in comparison to other people, I think. And the fact of the matter is, as employers, we can take a pool of talent from across Europe without any problems, and we can find talented people outside of Europe, and our children have got to compete with those people in the future world. So I think, what the government, the previous governments have done has realised that, but things like the IB, I think, is something that should be far more at the heart of the British educational system.
So this is the International Baccalaureate. And I'm thinking, just in terms of the young people you meet, have they got the skills that you would have looked for in your business?
Well, my criticism of the education system would be around it's far too centred on the academic results that come out and less centred on the actual things that are also important in business, which is the sort of communication and the collaboration and the confidence skills that isn't just pure academic.
Okay, and I want to know how you would develop those in a minute. Edwina, on these academic results, are we sort of languishing down the league tables? If you think of these PISA league tables of results, where are the Brits? I mean, should we be hanging our heads in shame? I mean, what's going wrong?
It's shocking. We find that only 2% of girls are choosing to study physics at A level.
Why do you think that is?
I think they are scared by the need for A stars and A's. I think, there's an awful lot of expectation that it's top level.
In other subjects, though, they're outperforming the boys. So what's the problem with physics?
Yeah, I think it's just the rigour in which the level has been set, and I just don't think they have quite the same confidence that's carrying them through it.
And so what changes, Liz was here and we'll pass on any thoughts. I know, what changes would you like to see though?
I'd like them to feel the excitement of what can be done with science and technology. I mean, studying hard is all about what's it going to lead to. And so what I think we've done a very bad job at so far is actually saying it's worth the pain. You're going to have a fantastic career. Not only going to go into a whole variety of businesses, but you're actually going to rise to the top with those kind of skills. There is a war for talent still. And I remember reading about it 20 years ago, and it's still there.
And Martin, the business people of this country must be thinking that we see the skills gap, we want to play a role. What is the role?
Well, I think the role is, first of all, if I was to look at the report card for schools in college, it wouldn't say must try harder, because I think they are trying really hard. I've been doing a lot of looking into that world just recently, and there's a lot of good stuff being done. But what it probably would say is must do better. And the education and business can work really well together, because education, they attract the students in, and then what they're supposed to do is turn them into this great product for industry to pick up. Business does the same thing. It hires people in, and then what it does is it tries, if it's a good business, to do the very, very best, to encourage them to give off their best, to be creative. The techniques that we use in business massively outstrip the techniques used in education.
So we have to get better at that. What, in your view, do the people leaving Britain's schools lack that you feel that they are being stitched up by lacking?
Well, first of all, and you've heard it often here today, the number who are leaving. Let's go up to university for a moment. The last time I looked, 25% of youngsters leaving universities in China have got an engineering, science type of degree, technology degree. If you look at America and the UK, it's about 5%. So first of all, it's about getting the flow, and I think that's what you're talking about, encouraging people to take the subjects up. But then also the responsibility that education has, as well it's got the youngsters on the courses, is to get them up to the best possible skill level.
Yes.
So if you're going to produce high-skilled people, it's like producing high talented people in business, you've got to motivate them, encourage them, and really stimulate them.
Well, on the skill, if you were to focus in and say, if there was one skill which you consistently feel has to be polished, you're just not seeing, and how can we help do that? What would you zero in on?
Well, I think, Paul, you mentioned communication. It is quite commonly said, and it was certainly said to the business that I used to be the chief executive of, that we hired incredibly bright people, and within a matter of hours of them being in the workplace, we'd find actually nobody has bothered to teach them how to communicate and how to transfer what it is they have.
And how would you go about teaching that? And can that be taught, Paul? And should it be the teachers that teach that?
Partially should be the teachers.
So you're on this. How would you teach Britain's school kids to communicate better?
Because you find role models, you find ways to entice and engage them in things that they're interested in. Yeah. So you can teach any subject in any different ways by just finding the thing that motivates them. I mentor somebody who was excluded from school. She said for 10 years. She set up her own business, and she finds kids in the dropout estates in Sheffield and teaches them by finding maths and English cooked for them in music and graffiti and also all those sort of things. And they get engaged and they get an MBQ level 1, and then they are employable. But as she does that, she also teaches them communication skills and confidence skills.
So Edwina, tell us just in a very small nutshell about Your Life. What's that campaign? What's it trying to do?
So Your Life is trying to say to people considering A-level subjects, think again about the science, technology, engineering, and maths.
So it's on that sort of STEM.
It's absolutely on that subject. And I think part of the problem is that young people don't understand what a job in business means. And they don't understand, what Google do, what YouTube does, what Raspberry Pi does, what Dyson does. I mean, they don't understand what a working day is like. Yeah. So I think we've got to open the doors, let them have a look.
And would you see that being taught as part of the curriculum, or is this something that business sort of slots in between the gaps?
I think this is where business can come into schools and say, this is what it's like.
This is what we do.
This is what you need.
On this, Paul, I want your thoughts on this, Paul, because your customers might be mums and dads, but your consumers are children. If I say I'm going to teach your child about business, how young's too young to use that word, or when does this begin?
Well, I think we all fall into the trap of dividing society into little pillars. And if pillars there's business over here, there's government here, there's families here, communities here, and actually we're all one. And we divide it across this way of here's something about business, here's something about food, here's something about citizenship, and it's all mixed up. So there's no too young an age. You can do it as a parent at a very very young level. Yeah. When you get to sort of secondary school and you're doing your GCSE year, say, most kids at 15 will do 1 week of work experience. Yes. That's rubbish, really, isn't it? Because it should be a year-long program where business is integrated in school as part of a big society that we're in. And get the kids understanding across a year what business is, because many of them will go into business.
Yeah, would you add to that, Martin? What's your...
Yes, and I would also say that since there's so many digitally focused people here in the audience today, just put your I'm 17 hat on again and go onto the school and college websites and have a look at the way the courses are described. And imagine if you were 17, could you figure out what kind of jobs you might be able to do by studying those courses? Where's the motivation? I checked out on iSeek the other day. You could put in STEM subjects and it tells you a list of 92 careers or job types that you can do if you are STEM focused. So I'm 17. I want to surf down a page on, say, a college website, and I want to see little film clip symbols and so on, and I want to go off and see role models. By the way, I want to see the young lady who's 22 years old, who's just won an engineering prize, and she's photographed in front of this giant British aerospace engine. I don't want to see James Dyson, sorry James, or anybody else like that, because they're too old. They're inaccessible.
Okay,
so role models that
younger,
are accessible.
Role models.
Definitely.
And I'll just quickly come back to running on time, short on time. You say to a head teacher, look, I've got 2 hours to give you, 2 hours a month, let's say. How would you like to use my time? What's the right answer to that question? What do you, how should we be deploying you, Paul Lindley, in a school, or indeed our other founders? Because I sense we use people's time unwisely.
I think, as Martin said, I'm the wrong person. I think someone that's 22, 23 is a better person to go in. But to show that the story of any of us here, any of us in this room, is achievable for anybody. It's not, you know, it's not unattainable, and it's giving them the confidence that things are attainable if there's work along the way.
Yes, no, Edwina.
So I was talking to Ruth Amos, who's part of the campaign yesterday. When she was 15, she did a school project, and that project has taken her, as a choice, into entrepreneurial life. She chose not to do her degree, which was going to be engineering, and she went into her job. She's now 24. She has 3 businesses, and she's addicted and having fun.
Now, I'm going to leave us with the question for you all, Martin first. Your abiding memory of school for you, and the hope you have for the next generation as they go through the school experience.
Well, when I was leaving school, I didn't go to university, but I remember in a suburb of Glasgow thinking that there were lots of things I could do. That's been erased out. We've replaced that with a culture of degree or fail.
Right. And your point being there are many paths to success.
There are lots, and that's why it's so important what we do with schools and colleges, and also it's important that we fill up our universities with STEM-type graduates, of course, but that we get back to lots of roads, apprenticeships, placements, and so on.
Yeah, and just putting that menu of options out there. Edwina, your memory and your hope.
My hope, I genuinely believe that the future of marketing and possibly business is mathematics. And I think in an increasingly digital, complex world, we all have to grasp the elements. It's not enough to say, I don't do it, ha ha, that's funny. We all have to do some of it and encourage our children to.
No, here. And Paul, last one.
My experience was I left school thinking there was a narrow range of jobs that I could go for, and I think there's way more jobs now, but I think schools do teach the ability that you can go off in any direction. So I'm encouraged that children think they can take their talents in any which direction. And my hope really is that more people make their own jobs. There are more entrepreneurs, because that's the way we'll change society for the better.
A great note to end on. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Martin McCourt, Paul Lindley, and Edwina Dunn. Thank you, guys.